Okay, let's go.
Hi, friends of the Coachella Valley. Jose here from The New Mindset. I'm with...
Mariela, your host.
And
Co-host.
guess what? We have a very special
Special
guest. Amirah Halum.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm
Welcome,
honored to be here.
Yay.
Thank you. Very excited to be here.
Fantastic to have you. Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
for being here.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Well, we have a few things to talk about today.
Okay.
Well, we know that you are a realtor here in the Coachella Valley. And I think Mariela has a question for you.
Oh my God.
Wow.
What's going on?
Oh, well.
We're going to just dive right in, huh?
Yeah.
You know, we can start off. Tell us a little about you.
So I grew up here in the desert. I'm one of 5 kids. I'm Middle Eastern because everybody always asks me, what are you? Especially when and I know what they mean when they ask that, especially when they hear my name, Amirah. And I'm Palestinian, so shout out to all my Palestinians.
Yeah.
And yes, I do speak Spanish, and everyone always wants to know how or why I learned how to speak Spanish. And it's actually like most immigration stories or immigrant stories is my grandparents immigrated from Palestine to Nicaragua. My dad was born in Nicaragua.
Oh, wow.
And then he came to the US, went back home to Palestine, married my mom, moved over here, and they had 5 kids. And I was one of those 5. And yeah, so I grew up.
Which child are you?
The best.
totem
The best
The
child.
best.
one?
The
The
best.
first one?
No, the third one.
Oh, yeah.
The middle
best.
child.
Yeah,
The
right.
middle child is the best. I have 2
the
older
best
brothers. And what kid are you?
I'm the first one. The best
no.
one.
No, the first one is a test run, and it's not usually the best
I was the
one.
first. I was the first accident. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
exactly. And then they're like, well, let's try one more time just in
Let's
case
fix it.
because
Yeah.
this one didn't really work out that great. And then they get to the third one.
It's like, this one came out defective. Let's try again.
Yes, let's try again.
Give them a podcast and see what happens. So
Yeah,
you know
you're
what-
just the guinea pig.
Exactly.
And then all the other ones are the better ones.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. Shout out to all the first
All the
children.
first
Sorry,
gens.
because you guys took all the first like hits, so to say, with the parents,
Yeah.
and then we
All
like,
the beatings.
Yeah, they got it first,
Tell me
and then
about
we
it.
got it like maybe,
Lighter.
maybe,
Yeah.
and then the last
Yeah.
babies, and
I
the
love where
babies
this
are
is
just
going.
like
I
not
can't
even
wait for
part
my
of
family to hear. Did you guys hear that? It's
Yeah.
true.
But yes, so middle child, and like I said, I grew up out here. I went to preschool, middle school, elementary, all that good stuff, high school. Then I moved to Cal Poly Pomona. I went to Cal Poly Pomona, so I
nice.
moved to LA. And I did graduate with a human resources degree. And I thought I was going to go to law school. So I did that whole graduate program, studies for it, did study for the LSAT, applied to law school, worked for an attorney, realized I didn't want to do that. And worked in corporate for a little bit. And then I grew up in family business my whole life. So I always knew that eventually I wanted to start my own business. And I also grew up helping my parents like buy and sell real estate because they were also business owners. So I grew up in the grocery industry. And at the time, shout out to Coachella Ranch Market. It was in Coachella. So if you're from
There
the
you go.
early 90s and 2000s and you grew up in Coachella, you know exactly which grocery store it was. So I grew up in the Harrison Street Shopping Center and just naturally picked up on family business. And my parents, you know, they'd pick us up from school and then we'd go to the store after school and we'd help our parents with whatever tasks that they had at the store. Through that business, my parents acquired real estate throughout the years and they believed in, you know, like I believe in it, as generational wealth is actually built through real estate and you can buy land, resell it, buy properties, resell it. And I just always knew that I wanted to do real estate, but I thought I wanted to do real estate like after I had my corporate career, after I had my job, and I was just going to do real estate for fun. And when I turned 26, I had quit a corporate gig that I was working at. And I just realized like I'm not cut out for corporate on a political level. I grew up in a small business atmosphere where you really cared about people over profits. Of course, you never sacrifice profits for the people, but there was a win-win situation all the time. And corporate is a lot of politics, a lot of like different levels and layers. And I think a lot of people like to hear themselves be right when it's not necessarily solution driven. And it's like, hey, okay, you have to ask 10 people to get to the answer when we all know the answer. And I'm not really used to that. And I'm also not used to people telling me no in a way where it doesn't make sense. Like I work in a way where like, yes, you can tell me no, but I need to know why. And it needs to make sense. If it's no because we just said no, that doesn't work for me. And so I realize corporate is not necessarily about the consumer all the time. And honestly, they don't necessarily care about their employees. So they care about the bottom line and then producing at the like highest level at the sacrifice of employees. And I just never grew up that way. And I don't believe in that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to leave. And I left. And I didn't realize, like, when you leave a job, I didn't realize at the time, which I should have known, is it's also very hard to find another job. So I went back to the family business. And
you said you were 26 when you did that, right?
I was 26 when I did that.
Just left a corporate gig.
Yeah, just left corporate. And I was like, what should I do? Should I go back to LA? Because I was living here at the time. And there were 2 real estate developers in LA that I had an interview with a while back in my early 20s. And they always told me, hey, if you ever come back to LA, give us a call. And there are 2 brothers. One was an architect and one was a general contractor. And they were building at that time small homes in Eagle Rock, Silver Lake area. And they were at the forefront of a high trend that's happening now. About 15 years ago. And I remember I reached out to them and I said, hey guys, I'm actually thinking about coming back to LA. Is there a position for me? Because I wanted to work in real estate. And they said, absolutely. Come on Friday, let's chat. So I go on Friday and I chat with them and they're like, okay, we want you to run all of our operations. We're going to be on the field, but we want you to run everything, management, operations, dealing with our vendors, being the middle person between us and our clients. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And
is this a property management position or?
No, it was kind of like there was a builder brother and an architect brother, and they were a development firm. So they were developing homes, and one.
Is there a third brother and then a wolf?
I wish. No, but they were just. It was an overall a huge. It was a small real estate company with big goals, and they were a mom and pop shop, but they were essentially developing homes. So they were builders. They would build about 10 homes on a cul-de-sac every like 8 months. And the idea is the architect would draw up the plans, the brother builder would build it, and then they'd have a real estate team that would sell it. And everything they wanted to keep in-house. So at the time, I was like, okay, obviously this will lead to me eventually selling our product, which is the houses. So it was like the perfect fit. We had the same values and all of that stuff. Well, it came time to like pack my bags and go to LA. And I was like, okay, I was telling my mom, like, Mom, I got this great opportunity. I'm so excited. I'm going to go back to LA. And my mom wasn't doing that great at the time. And it was a really hard time economically speaking for the Coachella Valley. And I just remember I packed everything in my Camry and I was on the 10 West and I was reflecting. I got to Banning and I was like, how am I going to leave my mom in the position that she's in and running her store, and I'm going to go help these other people thrive in their business. And like essentially what they're asking me to do is what my mom really needs to do. Like, she needs help in that area. Yeah. So I thought to myself, I don't know if this is like, it's a dream of mine, but I didn't feel right living it out for somebody else, for working for someone else, and then not helping my mom. Yeah. Wow. So I just had that thought, and I called my mom and I was like, Mama, do you think I should go or do you think I should stay? She's like, keep going. Like, keep going. Don't look back. Just go have fun. Yeah. This is something you've always wanted to do. Do it. So I get to LA, and for the first 2 weeks, I agreed to like crash at one of my friends' houses. So I'm unpacking my stuff, and I'm like, dude, I can't believe this is happening. So I go to work, and I have like the little orientation meeting. And then I remember going back home and like going back to my friend's place, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do this. I just didn't feel right. Yeah. So I called the 2 brothers and I said, hey, look, you know, you guys know my background story. They know that I grew up in family business. They have their own family business. They know how important family is to me. And I said, I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I'm so appreciative of this opportunity, but I don't see, and I don't feel comfortable, like, working out your business and making everything great where my mom needs somebody just like me at her store.
Right.
So I said, thank you and no thank you. I really don't think I'm going to be able to fulfill this position. And I came back home. And I came back home. And
So how long were you out there total? Like a month, basically, right?
no, not even.
Just
Not
a
even
couple of
month,
weeks.
just 2 weeks.
Or less than 2 weeks.
Less than a week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Less than a week. Because
That's crazy.
again, I guess I grew up in the family business, and, you know, being first generation is really like, your parents work so hard and they really want you to live out your dream. And
Yeah.
they work so hard so that you have all these opportunities. And yeah, they want you to go work for somebody where, like, you have a nice clean office job.
Yeah,
where
of
you don't have to
course.
work
Yeah.
as hard as they worked.
Yeah.
And do the
Yeah.
things that they did. And then the reality, I'm like, nah, I'm not above my parents. Like, my parents worked their butt off, and I can do the same thing, if not more. I speak the language. I have no language barrier. I read it just perfectly fine. I know technology. So there's no reason why I can't come back and help them.
And make
Yeah.
it successful.
And make it
grow
successful.
everything.
Yeah.
And
Right.
yeah, go ahead.
I want to take it back to when you left your corporate job. What's it like, and what are people's reactions from this? Right? Are they telling you you're crazy? What are you feeling at this moment? Right? And how long were you unemployed for? I guess.
Oh my God. Yes. Okay, that's
Did you-
actually a really great
What
question.
were you doing between this time frame, right? Because I feel like that is something that a lot of people go through, but it's like a difficult time, right?
Oh.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's always interesting to hear how people overcome that and how they get out and move forward,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what's
Okay.
it like during this
tell
time
us
period?
That is a really great question, because everybody at this company that I was working for, they couldn't believe that I was leaving. And they were like, what are you doing? Why are you leaving? You do like so much for the company. I was like, look, I'm just not about it. Like, I'm not about the 9 to 5. Tell me how to live my life. Clock in, clock out.
see.
Micromanagement.
Micromanagement.
Yeah.
Sexism up the yin yang, which
Ooh.
I am not good with that. Like, at all. And I'm not
yeah,
good
yeah.
with women coming at other women. Okay, like,
Oh, I see.
I am really big about women supporting other women. We're
Yeah.
all equal. There's room for everyone and
Right.
every opportunity, everything. But when you work in like a box, these women don't see you as peers, and they don't see you as other women just trying to put food on the table. They see you as like
Competition, and right?
competition. And I'm like, girl, look, I'm here to pay my bills, and that's about it. Like, I don't care what she said. I don't care what he said. I'm not that type of person.
Yeah.
So when I left corporate, I was very naive. So I think the naiveness kind of helped me
you.
navigate, because
Okay.
I just thought, well, shoot, I speak 3 languages. I know technology. I have a degree. I know how to start multiple businesses. How am I not employable? But I didn't realize, you know, you do the whole resume process, you upload the resume.
Right.
And I didn't
Going through those steps.
I didn't think it was going to be that difficult to find a job. But
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think there's any shame in working. So I'm not above any kind of job. Even though I come from a family business, and my parents are successful, and I've had everything that I've needed. You got to work. Work
Yeah.
is work. So what did I do? I did what I know best, which is hustle. So I went down to downtown LA, and I went to the wholesale district, and I bought a bunch of costume jewelry. And I'm like, look, I know how to buy and sell anything that I need to do. So I went and I bought a bunch of jewelry, and I went to Walmart at the time, and I bought these long tables and these lights
Got
and
it.
the canopy.
Nice.
My mom had a Suburban. I had a Camry at the time, and I said, Mama, I need to sell jewelry on Wednesdays and Saturdays at the Indio Swap Meet. And she's like,
Wow.
for what? Come work at the store. I was like, no, I need to make like that extra side money.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I would set up on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and sometimes I came out making $500, $700, $1,000, and sometimes I came out negative $100, because you pay for the
Yeah.
space rent,
Yeah.
and then it's slow, and then you get like annoyed, so you go out and you eat everything at all the vendors. So in between, I was selling jewelry at the swap meet. I was working for my mom at the time as well. I got lucky that I could find a job with my mom. I was not going to go back to corporate. And all my colleagues thought I was crazy because this is another thing I didn't know. I could have totally filed unemployment because I was kind of not wrongfully terminated, but if I really wanted to, the reason why I left, I could have totally did a whole thing and unemployment and all that. And I was like, look, I'm done. When I'm done with you, I'm done. I don't want anything. In hindsight, maybe I should have gotten some unemployment because times were tough, but you know, I bet on myself. I believe in myself. So it was just a matter of time that I was going to go on my own. And then in that time where I was selling jewelry, working for my mom, I also started a wedding planning business. And, and I love throwing parties, and I think I throw pretty good parties. So I thought, well, if I love throwing parties and I love to party, I can be a great wedding planner because that's like the biggest party of your life.
Right.
And I actually teamed up with somebody at the time at the Parker, and I was able to secure a few gigs. But I soon realized I was not a good fit for it. And that's kind of what also backed the idea of you really have to love what you do to be like, not just to do well at it, but to really show up in a way where you're like, hey, you know what? This is a job, this is a career, this is my like life, you know, but the good days or the bad days are just as good as the bad days are just as good as the good days. When you love what you do, they're not as bad as the job that you dread. Like I used to go to that corporate job and I'd sit in the parking lot and I would hate getting out of the car. And then
clocking in, going to clock out.
Then at lunch, I'd hate going back to work. And then I couldn't wait till 4:59. And I was like, dude, I will never have a job like that ever again.
You felt like this is not life. Like this is
no. And I didn't fit. I didn't like it. And there's nothing wrong with it. I actually think I would have thrived because it's a very competitive environment. I am very competitive. But I don't believe in knocking on people or knocking them down to get to where you want to be.
Right.
That is not where I'm good at. Like, and I will never let a man like flirt with me so that I can get to the next level. And a lot of that was happening. And I just turned into a beezy. Like if you don't respect me and you don't respect the workplace and you think of like flirting with me is going to get you where like, I'm not, I don't flirt. Sorry. Not in the workplace.
Right.
It's crazy to me to think this stuff really goes on, you know? And so since I'm self-employed, I haven't to deal with that for a while, but that does go on, right? It does happen.
Now this was 10, almost 12 years ago.
Oh, and I'm
so
sure
I don't know if it happens because I've been independent ever since, but
I'm sure it's still going on, right? But it's almost like it was a benefit for you the way things happened, right? At the moment, it felt like it wasn't.
Oh my God.
And it's like you found yourself in a pickle, so that pushed that business side out of you, right?
100%.
Because imagine you would have filed for unemployment and then you were a little bit comfortable, right? Or you got something, you were getting some, you know.
No, I agree. And you're right on that. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
You know what? When you asked like how did my colleagues react?
Yeah.
There's some friends that are still super close to me that I met through that job. And, you know, they see where I have come. God has blessed me so much. Like, thank you, God, for everything. Because without him, nothing of this would happen.
Preach.
So, like, honestly, like, I'm so grateful for everything where I'm at in my career.
Right.
And I'll get these DMs on my Instagram or on my Facebook from my colleagues. And they're like, girl, we're so proud of you. Like, you're so strong for leaving. Some of them still work there. And they're like, I still remember when you'd come over and you'd be crying because you don't know what the next step is going to look like.
Oh.
And it's true. When you are self-employed and you do take that step to open your own doors, you know, unfortunately, your family and friends they're not usually your people that are going to support you.
Correct.
Not in the beginning.
Not in the beginning. You know, you still have to prove yourself to them.
Yeah.
And I realized that very fast because in our industry, everybody's a realtor. Or like, not in our industry, but in our world, I mean, in my own family, I have 3 realtors. So when I realized everybody I know knows a realtor, I'm like, okay, there's no pressure from my family or friends to support me. I'm a newbie and I don't know what I'm doing. So here we go. And you bust your butt to prove it to others that you can gain their business. And you're right. Being not on unemployment and not having a backup plan and being a little bit naive and definitely betting on myself, I was like, I think it led to the success that I have right now. And it was just the catalyst to bring me to where I thought I knew I was going to be. I just honoring my parents' wishes as an immigrant child was, you go to school, you get your education, you go work a nice clean job, an office job, because I think that's more respectful than selling produce. And no, I never desired to be an engineer, a doctor. I did want to be a lawyer because I thought you fight for the little person. But that's not what.
So, yeah.
That's
a
not
little more
what-
complicated
that's
than that.
not
Yeah,
what
that's
law
not
is
what
about.
law is. Yeah.
So when I realized that's not what law is about, I didn't want to be a lawyer anymore. And when you come from that background and like everybody's cheering you on, oh, you're going to be a lawyer. We always needed a lawyer.
Yeah,
in the
right.
community.
You get that.
Yeah, and then
in
I'm like,
there.
how do I tell everybody I don't want to be a lawyer?
The new mindset of the Coachella Valley is brought to you by BuzzBox. Here we have Steph, our new editor-in-chief, to give us a bit more info on them. So what can you tell us about it?
You know what's great about BuzzBox? Let me tell you. It's eco-friendly, has natural ingredient-infused cocktails, and the packaging is vacuum sealed to lock in all its natural ingredients. It's gluten-free, it's kosher. Yes, BuzzBox premium cocktails are meany and mighty.
Now, before you move on to that, it just
Yeah.
something I heard, and I want you to talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
So your choice, or what in your head, you're like, there's something that'll fulfill me. You did the real estate. Tell me about the comedy thing. I really am so interested. about
Oh,
this.
yes,
I'm
okay.
so interested. I really want to know about
Okay,
that.
so Jose's talking because when he first met me, I did tell him. So
I
I
love
was
this.
26. That's why I said the age.
Oh, you're not kidding. Like you literally were in the middle of everything, and that's when you get the thought.
No, I was like, okay, low key, I would have loved to be a comedian. When you live in LA.
Yeah.
Okay, I was living in LA. I almost lived there for about 10 years. So when you live in LA, a little bit of you thinks like, hey, well, I'm not cut out to be an actress. Like I never wanted to be an actress. I'm not
Okay.
I'm not really into that. And I used to want to be a TV host like a long time ago, just because I used to love watching red carpet. And
Right.
Yeah.
that whole thing.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I was just like, that's so cool. That's what I would love to do.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, when I was living in LA, I'd go to all these comedy shows every Thursday with my sister.
Which were
I'd go to the
the Laugh Factory?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And I would sometimes excuse me. So
We'll take that break. Do a quick commercial.
The new mindset of the Coachella Valley is brought to you by a few local businesses. We love to grow with the community. Here with us is Amari Skincare.
Amari Skincare and Aesthetics is here in Palm Desert, California. We are happy to see you in our shop, and you're welcome to also book online. Don't forget, you get $50 off on your first booking.
And we're back.
okay. And sometimes I'd go to Laugh Factory. I'd stay for an hour. Sometimes I'd stay till like 3 or 4 comedians in and all that stuff. And I'm a little bit funny to my family and friends. So I was all like, you know
Be
what?
modest.
One day, and when I was living in LA, I'm like, I should go to the open mic nights.
No
so the
way.
open night mics, you just go and you just start, you just try,
whatever.
right?
Yeah.
And I remember telling my sister and my roommate at the time, I was like, you guys, I think I'm gonna go to open mic night. And I think open mic nights used to be on Sundays. And they're like, you should totally go. And then they're like, you're crazy. And I was like, you know
course.
what? I am crazy. What am I thinking? So I never went. But when I moved back to the desert and I was going through all the corporate gigs and here, there, and
Yeah.
everywhere, and I was like, you know what? I always wanted to be a comedian. If I don't like if by the age of 30, I did put it like a deadline.
Yeah.
okay,
It's one of
see?
those things. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I turn 30, if I'm still at a job that I don't like or I didn't find my passion in life, I'm moving back to LA and I'm going to become a comedian.
I love that.
Because
That's-
at that time,
Oh.
I was like, by the time I turn 30, my parents can't tell me anything anymore. Like, I've already, like,
You're past that.
Yeah, you're
I'm
like,
so
listen, my
madura
20s
that
is
they're
on.
like, whatever.
At that point,
That's
they'll be
it.
like, just do something.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
do
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Just do something.
Commit
please.
to it. It is
yes,
what it is.
yes. Stop.
Yeah,
Like,
oh
I don't
my
want to
gosh,
hear it
yeah,
anymore.
sorry.
You would have been showing up at all the family functions.
I don't
As
know.
a clown, I'm
As a
just
clown.
kidding.
Yeah, no, but that's like, that would be the joke for the
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
be like, oh, she's just a clown. Like, they'll be like, what did she do? So at that point, culturally speaking, I was considered old and out of my parents' control. And that's it. Like, if you have
Yeah,
family
yeah, yeah.
gatherings, they don't ask you anymore what you're doing. Now, they're
real
still
quick,
looking.
let's
yeah.
talk about how crazy saying that 30 years old is
Oh my
old.
God. I know.
30
I know.
is not
I know,
old.
and
30 is
it's
not old,
so
just for
it's not
anyone
old,
listening.
right?
No, it's not old. By the way, I'm 36 right now. I'll be 37 in 2 months, and I don't even feel like whatever that feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is crazy to think that 30 you used to think you were old in your 20s, but you know what I realized?
It's all perspective and the mentality.
Oh my God.
That's all it is.
But what I wish people would tell folks in their 20s, because I think you feel that pressure, I called 20s the lost decade. Because honestly, when you're in your 20s, you feel like you have to have it all figured out. Like, I don't know why, but you have to, like, you feel like you have to know your purpose in life. You have to know what your passion is in life.
Right.
And I was like, dude, if I ever come across young people, what I would tell anybody is your 20s is your discovery period, where that's where you should be trying every job. Anything you had like an interest in, try it. And if it doesn't work, who cares? Like, move on to the next thing until you figure out what you like. If you want to put a timeline and you want to say 30s, like kind of where I want to like commit to something, then do that. But I feel like kids right now, like the youth in their 20s, if they don't have instant fame or instant success, they don't feel like they've accomplished anything.
I just think that it's as soon as you don't start doing the traditional path of, you know, going to school and then getting that corporate job and retiring there, like, if you're not following those steps, it's like, people are like, oh, what are you doing?
They judge you. Like,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, you switched many jobs or, you know, it's that. But in reality, that's what you're supposed to do.
100%.
How many people do you know that are retiring at this job they've been at forever and they're miserable?
And health issues.
And health issues as well, yes. So I think it's, you know, something that more people need to be open about, that's not the reality. That's not how life works.
You got to think that it's multi-generational, right? So
1,000%.
a few
He's right.
generations past, they had to follow the specific path.
Yes.
And this time and age is the time where we can actually start companies, start A, B, and C with a better understanding of certain situations because of this age of the internet and whatnot. So it allows us to, you know,
you've always been able to do that. I just think there's more resources now, right?
Yes,
it's more resources.
Oh, of course, yeah.
There's a ton more resources, and so like if there's a will, there's a way
100%.
for just about anyone. But the point is that you're going to make mistakes, and you're not gonna hit it at the first try.
1,000%.
You're gonna have many failures along the way.
Yes.
Learn from the failures.
And
accept the failures.
Well, that's the thing. So many people are scared to take that leap of faith. Like, okay, it's not that hard, to be quite honest, to start a business.
Of course.
No.
The hardest part is saying, okay, I'm gonna do it.
Keeping it.
And I think for people, they're scared and they're scared of failing. But this is the thing. I tell everybody, especially my team, you can't have success without failing. And what you need to replace failure is with lessons. So failures are lessons. They're not failures. Like you would have never known if you didn't try. Yeah. And now you know.
Failures are, if you want to look at it this way, are assets.
1,000%.
All of failures are assets, and it's all the way you look at it and what you make of it will determine what your future is going to be like.
Yeah.
We all have to look at our failures as assets.
Yeah, some of the most successful people in the world have failed many more times than anyone in the world.
Ever.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just part of it.
It's all about being consistent too. I think people give up too soon and they think that it's going to happen overnight. It's
1,000%.
consistent. You have to be
Consistency
consistent.
is the only way to do it.
Rain or shine, you have to get up and keep trying. And I think that's something that, you know, the majority of people do not understand, right?
No. And okay, like you both brought up great points, and it's true. One is generational. So our parents had to do what they had to do, and they didn't have another choice. They had too many kids to feed, too many people back home to send money to.
Yes.
So not only were they supporting people here, but they were supporting people back home.
True.
Yeah.
So they didn't have that option that we have.
Oh
to
my God,
bounce
it's not
out
such
and
just a
trust.
Mexican thing.
No. It's a cultural. I feel like any immigrant that comes here.
Yeah, I think we all. Yeah,
supports
that
back
feels,
home,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So that's where the generational thing is. Look, don't forget the sacrifices that your parents or your grandparents made, so that you have no choice but to be successful. Why are you not trying your best?
I love that.
Why are you quitting so fast? Like, you need to give something at least 7 tries, like 7 go at bats. Like, okay, in our business, for example, open houses. People hate open houses, and they hate it because sometimes all you're doing is babysitting the house, and sometimes nobody shows up. But I always tell everybody it takes one person to come in and you get a sale, or you can be you can represent the seller. But it didn't work out the first time. You don't know what to do the second time to try something different to get a different result if you don't go back.
If you don't fail the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, just show up. Yeah. Okay, see what happens the first time. Okay, nobody showed up. Maybe the second time, try a different time. Or maybe put different directional signs. Or maybe promote the open house a little bit different. Okay, go back. Go back the second time. Okay, the second time, what happened there?
Yeah. Learn from
like
each one.
you
Right.
have to really try. But people, again, they want that instant success. Look,
Yeah.
I'm almost 10 years in this business.
Mm-hmm.
I work every day like I just started yesterday. And I feel like if I know what I know now, things would be so much different, and talk about making mistakes or failures or their assets. This week was a crazy week for my business and for my team. And I feel like we had implosions, and it comes from the top. And when you, as a leader and as a business owner, you have to make these really hard decisions that sometimes you don't know what's going to happen next, and you don't know whose feelings you're going to hurt along the way. And something that I realized that I wish people would tell you is you're allowed to change your mind.
Yes.
And I think
gosh.
nobody tells you you're
Yeah.
allowed to change your mind.
Yeah.
So you know what? It didn't work out. Like I said yes. Maybe I said yes too soon. Okay, we said yes. We tried something. And dude, this was like the dumbest thing I committed to. So let's change our mind. But
Yeah, of course.
I guess sometimes you're not allowed to change your mind. And the reality is, no, it's trial and error.
Yes.
And nothing's perfect. And I mean, as a leader, I try not to make too many mistakes, but I'm not perfect. And my team is still a very young team. I was a solo agent for about 7.5 years. And I started a team about 2.5, almost 3 years ago. And switching from a solo agent to a team lead, mentor, broker, all these things, it is hard, and you do make mistakes, and it's hard when it affects other people's lives. So
Yeah.
I think you're right in that, people quit too soon. And I still show up. Like I tell my team, I show up every day like I'm starting at zero.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know why else not. Like, also, like, why not do your best? Like, there's people that are our age that are fighting for their lives. Like, I don't know if it's my attitude in life, but I feel so grateful for everything. I feel so grateful that like I have food on the table, I have an opportunity. I feel like with technology now, you don't even have to leave your house to be successful, like or to do your passion.
Right.
You really don't.
If you wanted to.
If
yeah.
you wanted to, whatever it is. Like I feel like maybe that's the problem. Maybe we have too many choices.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, it could be. Yeah, you walk into like an aisle. There's so many choices of cornflakes. You don't know what.
I mean, that's like as simple as the nail
Right,
salon
it's like
for me.
you
When I
know.
go
Too
and they
many
say pick
colors.
your color, I'm like,
right?
dude,
Like, what do you do?
I'm
the
the
same-
worst person about pick your color.
I stick to the same ones.
This week's episode of The New Mindset is brought to you by Jeff Mo. Here to tell us more about it is Aussie, one of the owners. Take it away, bro.
Jeff Mo CBD is a brand based in Southern California. Are you dealing with pain, anxiety, inflammation, stress, and more? Make sure to check us out at jeffmocbd.com. Each batch of our product is lab tested for potency and pesticide. Certificates of analysis can be viewed by going to jeffmocbd.com. So don't panic, it's organic.
Oh no, I'm
Yeah,
I'm
no,
the
I like to
worst.
try a little bit of everything.
But like
Only
your
way to do
podcast,
it.
it's mindset, right?
Yeah,
and it's about
mindset,
mindset, and you know,
Exactly.
the business mindset, personal mindset, attitude is everything. And my mom drilled that in my brain since I was a kid. And go ahead.
So it sounds to me that's really interesting what you're saying, because a part of it, to me, what you just said sounded like you have core values given to you by your family and parents, and you have what you picked up from your colleagues and your experiences, and then you mixed it with technology a little bit. So it's all like one good strategy for success for people today, which leads me to this question that I really want to know. I was researching, or so I understand, your logo of your company reflects what I just explained.
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about it? Because I know it's 2H.
I know. I usually wear my logo on my.
You have a tattoo of it. We know.
No tattoos. Not yet. I'm waiting till I turn 40 or
40,
50.
so you can really be
waiting
like,
for that
go.
menopause
Right.
stage to
No.
hit, and I'm like, okay, maybe it'll
Well, you
be.
got a long way to go.
Yeah,
so.
maybe
Oh
it'll
my
be a
goodness.
menopausal decision, and I'll get my first tattoo. I'll send you a pic.
Well,
oh, not like, yeah. I'll send
so tell us about the double H.
you. Okay, yeah. So the logo. We're back to the logo.
Yeah, back from
Okay.
commercial.
Okay, so the logo. I remember when I was creating the logo for the team, it was Halum Real Estate Group. And what was really important for me is, like I said, very grateful to God that I am in the position that I'm in, but also very grateful for my grandparents and my parents, because they taught me the work ethic, they gave me the opportunity, and they taught me to believe in myself, even if I couldn't make it. Like, just know that you can do it. So first stage is to honor my grandparents and my parents, the first generation of the Halum real estate group, or the reason of my being in my existence is my grandparents and my parents. And then the second H is the present and the future. And it's just like giving it back. And I want to build a good legacy. And I'm hoping that one day maybe my nieces will take over the business, like a niece or a nephew, or it stays within the family. But even on a cultural level of the home real estate group, family is everything. Our core value is family is number one. So to me, that's what the logo is just, it's so much in one. It's the generational struggle and the future and opportunities and the work hard commitment and the mindset. It's always right there. This story stuck with me forever. And this is something that when you feel like quitting, remember this, is like my grandpa came here at 50, went to the local community college to learn English. And he was the oldest guy in his class. And I was so proud that my grandpa even thought about going to this community college to learn the language. And he went there and he went back a second time. And then he told me he got embarrassed because he was the oldest guy there. And he just ended up not going. So he always had to learn the hustle. I wish he would have enjoyed retirement. And I know he'd be very proud of all of my siblings. All of my siblings, at our core, we grew up with our grandparents. We were raised with them and my parents. Right. Everything we do is in honor of them. And I know that. So like, I don't know. For me, I'm a very passionate person and very grateful for my roots. So I think I feel like I have no choice but to do my very best every day. And it is a struggle because a part of it is I have imposter syndrome for a lot of things. And if my grandpa was here, he would never. He'd be like, what are you thinking about?
And how do you cope with that real quick? If you can tell us
the imposter syndrome.
First of all, explain what's imposter syndrome because some people might not know what it is.
Okay, so and the way I would put it is sometimes imposter syndrome is you feeling not worthy or capable of a certain gig or certain task or certain job. In my particular case, like feeling like I can't go after a certain client because I don't fit the mold, or they probably don't want to work with me, or I'm not their stereotypical realtor. Yeah. And no, that's not true. Like I realize the imposter syndrome as a team lead, you need to kick that fast because how are you supposed to guide and mentor your agents if you don't even believe in yourself? So how am I supposed to have one of my agents come to me and say, hey, I want to approach this person, but I don't really know if I'm the right fit. Yes, you are. So yes, you are. And let me show you how you are. So when I realized, hey, I can't tell somebody to believe in themselves and they can go after any listing, any buyer, if I don't believe in it myself. And so that's when the imposter syndrome.
It's almost like you have to brainwash yourself to think the opposite, right?
Unlearn
that.
Yes.
So, but I feel like the majority of successful people still have the imposter syndrome here and there. They have at least the moments of.
Yes.
And it's kind of like also, it's if you can see it in a good sense because it also reminds you to keep pushing forward, right?
Yes.
So it's like that fear kicking in, right? Or a lot of people would describe the imposter syndrome. I think for myself, what am I doing, right? Like, am I faking this? I don't belong here. Like, that kind of feeling, right?
Owning your greatness is something that I think every entrepreneur needs to learn because the reality is, I do have the blood, sweat, and tears and experience that got me to where I'm at. And the best is yet to come. And you learn every day. This week, I had like 20 new things that I learned. And there's so much more to learn. And the imposter syndrome, you're right. How did you get here? At one point, you do have some level of credibility. And you need to own that. Yeah. And that's where, like, I don't know if I shared it with Jose. I'm not really sure who I shared it with. Yeah. But I said in 2021, I tried to unlearn the imposter syndrome, but more embrace receiving. Receiving love, receiving kindness, receiving compliments, receiving all the things that people say, oh my God, you did such a great job for me. Thank you so much. Oh no, it was nothing. What are you talking about?
Right. Yes, no, so
you're welcome.
You were rejecting those type of compliments and in the past, and you started learning to just accept them. You know what?
Let's and embrace it and own it. Yeah. And it's really hard to own it because you want to stay humble. You know, you never want to have an ego, but sometimes you have to say like, oh yeah, you know what? I did deserve that. I did work hard for that. And again, I don't walk around like I have an ego.
Yeah.
But learning to just embrace some parts of you are great.
Well, this is kind of like a shout out to my team, but I've come to this world of, even the podcasting has led me into some really interesting opportunities. And I found that the best way for me to learn, I don't know how I do this, but I found that I can have this power. Everybody has these interesting ways of creating stuff. And I've been able to gather a team that the things I don't know, I learn from the experts that know them.
Yes.
And so I don't, like I said, it's a shout out to my team because I very much rely on, say, Mariela to do one thing and maybe my editor-in-chief, Estefania, to do the other, and so on and so forth. So learning how to divide that leadership into the roles of each people not only has led me to be successful, but also learn from their greatness, because everybody's greatness is so unique.
100%. 100%.
So knowing that you have your team, knowing that you have a supporting, balance of ideas, whatever you want to call it, allows for that growth to be in multitudes. Because when I tried to do it alone, it was so impossible.
There is a saying that says if you want to go, something about you go alone, but if you want to go far, go together.
Yeah, you go.
I forgot what it is. But it
there's
is
a
true.
quote.
And to add to that, you're right, is also allowing those folks that you actually delegate it to let them do their thing.
Yes.
And embrace that they know how to do it a little bit better than you.
Oh,
like
100%.
like I have on my team, I have somebody that we also do a podcast together. Without Monica, there would be absolutely no podcast. You tell me how to set up a mic, yo, I don't know how to do that. You tell me how to set up a tripod, I'm gonna struggle and I'll probably break the tripod.
Yeah.
And you tell me to go stream something, I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So like, there are things where yes, you cannot do it alone, and that's the one thing is like, there is no I in team.
Correct.
For sure. And you have to embrace other people's greatness.
Yes.
And you have to allow them to shine.
We definitely are going to have to do a part 2 of this one. I'm just realizing this is fantastic.
For sure.
This has been
So
quite
much
a
to
pleasure.
talk about.
So,
Thank you.
again, Amirah, we really do appreciate your time being here. We're definitely going to have to do a chapter 2. And we really want to say thank you very much so.
Thank you to you too.
One more thing to the team. Thank you guys for always being here.
Yes.
To Mariela, to our sponsors, Busbox, Level 111, thank you for having us again. And we hope to see you here on the next one. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
TikTok, YouTube, you name it.
You name it.
You name it.
We're there.
on it.
We're there. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.